my former college roommate, Austin Bunn, who was a playwright at the time and a journalist, came to me with an idea. He wanted to write a play. I was in my New York apartment 8 years ago, oh my God. And he told me, we had loved the beats in college, and he told me about this story of a murder that was pretty much unknown and covered up by history that brought the beats together and really started them writing and beginning their cultural revolution. And as he started telling me about this play he wanted to write, I put on my best Yoda mind control voice, rather my Jedi Knight mind control voice, and said, no, you will not write this as a play. You are going to write this as a screenplay, and I'm going to teach you how. And as we started working on the screenplay together, the big question was, what is this movie about? Whose story is it? And we realized that the character of Allen Ginsberg at that time had the greatest arc, and that he showed up at Columbia 17 years old. He was the dutiful son of his parents, failed working class poet, and an emotionally ill mother who he took care of. And he came to school thinking maybe he wanted to study labor law. Nice jazzy soundtrack behind my words. But he came to college wanting to study labor law until he met a young man named Lucian Carr who put an idea in his head that he should be a writer as well, and that they were going to start a cultural revolution called the New Vision, which was going to change society. And so, for me, I always look for what resonates with me thematically and in terms of why I want to spend 3 to 4 years, in this case 7.5, working to make a film and my dream come true. And for me, what really resonated was this idea of being 18 and 19 years old and being at college or leaving the nest for the first time and trying to find your own voice. And that feeling you had at 18 or 19 that you could do something important with your life, that you could change the world and really make a difference. And these guys, Ginsberg, Burroughs, Kerouac, were brought together by Lucian Carr with the belief that they could make art that would affect people's lives and society. And then, of course, the end of the story, they actually did. We did tons of research, but there came a point where I decided I wanted to know who these men were. I wanted to know how they grew over the course of their lives, but I wanted to specifically focus just on who they were at this very time, in 1944, when Allen Ginsberg was 17 turning into 18, when Burroughs was 29 turning into 30, when they still hadn't written a word. Because for me, what was fascinating is not the great men that they would become, but who are the insecure adolescents, the people that existed who were trying to figure out that greatness inside. So actually there came a point where I just stopped doing the research past the time of the murder. I didn't want to put in little hints. I hate little hints in movies like Jack Kerouac saying at the end of the movie, I think I'm going on the road. No, he had no idea he was going to write that book yet. But the relationships he was having at that time, his need to go escape from school, to escape from what he thought was a regular dull life, all of those things provided the themes that would later cause him to write on the road. That was the period of time I really wanted to focus on. Did we invent any characters? No. Everyone in this movie is based on a real character, and is a real character in these people's lives. I think it's just the interpretation. The murder has been written about, but usually it's relegated to one paragraph in the biographies. And there's so little information. What we really did was try to discover the reasons why Lucian committed the murder and how it affected Alan, Bill, and Jack and their art by trying to read underneath the text and to figure out emotionally who they were before the murder, what their relationships were like, and then how the murder affected them by what they wrote directly afterwards. We were putting together a list of all the great actors, under the age of 30. And I had one of those crazy midnight moments while lying in bed. What about Daniel Radcliffe? Because on just a thematic level, I thought the character of Alan is someone who goes from having been the dutiful son, the good boy, into revealing all of these emotions and feelings and thoughts that he's been having, that he's been keeping in for so long and not allowed to show the world. And by the end of the world, finding a new voice for himself. And I thought to myself, Daniel's had to play the same character for, almost a decade of his life. He's probably got so much inside of him that he's not gotten the chance yet to show the world. And how it would be great if the arc of the character appealed to him and somehow felt like to him was the arc of his life and where he was at the moment. So with the help of my manager and Christine, I called his agent directly. 24 hours, I got a call. He's interested. He wants to meet with you in New York.